everyone. Welcome to Naked City podcast with Pat Ahumada. Here we're about seeking the truth. That's going to be our mission. And we welcome input from the public because it is you that's going to be driving this podcast in search of the truth and making sure that people understand what's going on in our community or our federal and state governments uh, on local issues or whatever the discussion may be here on Naked City. We have a lot to talk about. We could talk about elections. We could talk about taxation, high property taxes. We could talk about infrastructure issues. There's a lot of things that we can unpack. But I hope to stay focused on uh, topics of the day when we do the podcast. And when we will be doing the podcast, I'm going to have to play with that, and it'll be based on the input I get from you. You can inbox me at Naked City Gmail, I think it is. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's patnakedcity at gmail.com. It's patnakedcity at gmail.com. So if you can inbox me there, I can read your comments and your suggestions and topics you may want to discuss here on Naked City for us to take up here. Um, there is what I would like to do is make sure we keep the drama out, keep out personal agendas or uh, emotions out of the discussion and focus on what we want, the topic there, what we want to learn about and what we want others to know and learn about, and also what we can do, because there's a lot of things we can say, but that's like blowing in the wind. We want to be able to maybe pinpoint some guidance or some solutions to bring about results, not just to, you can criticize and you can do all that, but that gets you nowhere. This is our community. I love Brownsville. Uh, I'm thinking of running for BISD, and I'm hoping that some of you will agree that uh, what it's all about, that I'll be running for, and support me when the time comes. But there's other elections going on right now. You got the Ford election, the runoffs in the county and stuff like that. So we'll be talking about that too. But for right now, I want to start with, I've been a Christian since I was 13 years old and a person of faith, and I've never been shy about that. I don't claim to be a good Christian, and I'm not a don't claim to be a religious person either. But I am a person of faith, and I think God has guided me through my life. So I would like to start the podcast with perhaps wherever you're at listening, that you meditate a little bit and give thanks to God for His blessings and His mercy, and also uh, pray that the Lord bless you and your family and our city and our country, and that more people be in search of the truth, because I think that's what this is all about. If we can get well informed based on truth, not on lies or what's politically beneficial to one party or another. This is not about party either. This is about our community. So, I ask that, you consider that when we start these podcasts, that you meditate a little bit and ask for the Lord's blessings. And today, what I want to talk about, and you can call me at 956-572-8172, and I'll repeat, 956-572-8172. What I want to talk to you about today is that some of you who own properties have gotten your Cameron County appraisal tax assessment notice. It's an assessment. That's how they value your property. And based on that, you will be taxed by all the public entities. And at a time when, the property assessments have gone through the roof, and that has resulted in very high taxes to where it's hurting people, especially the young people who are just buying a home and they have all this dreams and they acquire their first home, then they move in, and then they get the property assessment, and their taxes are way too high, which makes it unaffordable. And after a year, they're ready to sell because they can't afford to pay the taxes. And that's just one of the factors, but that's one of the important factors. So uh, the appraisal district gets the notices out on your property uh, uh, between April 1st and May 1st. Okay, so if you've gotten your notice, read everything that's there, get informed, and if you don't agree with the assessed value that is too high, uh, there's a form there for you to fill out. You can make sure that you put in there that you want to protest the value, okay? And it has a little checkbox. And make sure that checkbox says you disagree with the market value. Be sure you check that checkbox because that will give you the right to dispute what they're assessing you. And hopefully, if you're successful, you can lower the assessment and pay less property taxes. You fill out that form and you protest it based on market value that you disagree. But also uh, check the box where you request the evidence that they rely on to assess your property and increasing your market value to assess you higher and tax you more. So be sure to check that box there where it says you request the evidence. That means they got to provide that to you to justify the increase in assessment. And what you'll find out, and many people will find out many of the times, they don't have evidence. And if you don't request it, you don't know that when you walk into the protest and they have you at a disadvantage. So make sure you request the evidence. Once you requested the evidence, they got to provide that to you before the hearing, okay? And you review it, and if it looks like it's something that's reasonable, then you can say, well, I don't want to protest it. But if you see that it's out of whack to where the comparables that they're basing their assessment on your property to increase the value and your taxes. Like for instance, if your house is 40 years old and their evidence shows they're using houses that are recently built, well, uh, that's not a good comparable, and that's not something that they should use to increase your valuations. So when you compare what they relied on to what your property is, you can tell more or less whether it's worth fighting or not. The other trick that they use is that they have two separate assessments in one property. That's your land and that's your improvement. And what they're doing recently, and I'm going to protest mine. Uh, I live in over here in the Land of Lakes area, but I live on the poor side of Land of Lakes. I live over here by PUB, Sherwood Palace. Uh, they got my lot at 85,000. You can go to the woods and buy lots at 85,000, not here. So what they do, they assess, they come up with these assessments, and let's say, for instance, that they send out the notice. We'll just use this as an example. They send out the notice to 10,000 people, and they increase the assessment on these 10,000 homes. Okay, and out of those 10,000 homes, most people will go and pay what they've been assessed. They don't protest it. They don't even look at it. They just take it as normal. So the appraisal district has won. Uh, let's say in one protest, or let's say five protests. Well, then they won 99% of the assessments already without even doing anything, just by sending out the notices. And out of that one or that five homestead people that protested, maybe one succeeds in protesting to lower it down. So the numbers work in their favor, and that's what they depend on for you to be quiet and accept it and pay. And so you got to look at your statement when you get it, when they're informing you of the assessments. Okay, there's a land value and there's an improvement value. So let's say they go very little up on the improvement, but they go up quite a bit on the land. So then you protest the land, but I would protest the whole thing. But you would look and ask for a realtor to help you or somebody to help you to find uh, uh, similar type of lots like your homestead or whatever, and see if that's what they're selling for. Because what the appraisal district does is that, again, going back to the 10,000, they assess these values, and most of them accepted it. So when you go there, they're going to say, well, these 99 out of 100 in your area, that's what the lot's worth. So, that's what we base it on. Well, that's what it's worth because that's what they said it was worth, and nobody protested. Then they're using it against you by saying that that's acceptable and it's normal and it's typical and it's not. Okay, it's because people did push back. So you got to understand all those things, and you can get the information you need to get educated on this by going to the state comptroller. They will assign what's called a TLO. If you go to the state comptroller and ask them, I want to understand how this works, they will assign someone to explain to you everything. Or you use all these opportunities and support options to get informed because otherwise you'll end up paying more taxes than what you should. That's what they depend on. Now, if you're a homestead owner or if you bought a home and that's your main house, be sure to file a homestead exemption with the appraisal district if you haven't done so. If you are a homestead, if you have a house and it's already uh, declared as a homestead, uh, they can assess your property. Let's say they went up from 50,000 up to 100,000. Okay, that's what they call market value. That's what your property is worth. But they can only go up 10% every year in your assessment to pay taxes. So they might have valued your property at 100,000, but they can only go up 10% on the 50,000. Okay, because it's a homestead. So be sure to get that taken care of if you have not filed for homestead, because if you don't file for homestead, then they can go much higher than the 10%, and you're at their mercy. And you got to understand that all the public entities depend on these assessments for revenue so they can spend or squander what I think. Many times, like you remember the Nazca deal cost us 125 million, and other projects, bad projects or real estate uh, purchases and stuff like that. Uh, they just waste your money because nobody's watching, and most of the people that we elect don't even know what they're doing there. They run for the wrong reasons. Now, I'm not saying all, but maybe just go along to get along, and they're not going to question or challenge when it comes time to the budget, where a lot of money is wasted, and this is why they depend on higher valuations to bring in more money by taxation to the general fund, so they can spend more money. And it's up to you to get informed and try to vote for people that really are on a mission to serve the community for the common good. Uh, a lot of people run for the wrong reasons. They like the title, They like the position, they like the perks, or especially the paid positions, or they can't make it in the real life. So they need a position to where they get a salary. And that's the worst kind of representative, I think. I did it for free. I was mayor twice. They paid me $50 a month, and I got all the abuse that I could possibly get because you try to do something good and people are fighting. There's always people going to be fighting when you go up there. So I admire and commend those that do run and run for the right reasons to get elected. But there's a lot of people that shouldn't be in government, to tell you the truth. And that's what this is all about, the process for you to get involved. So I'm asking you to get informed on the valuation, the property valuation. The notices go out April 1st through May 1st. Um, May 15th, the deadline, okay, to file your protest. Keep that in mind because it's right around the corner. Once you get your notice, fill it out if you disagree with the valuation and get your notice. The sooner the better. Don't wait till the last day. Okay, you can drop it in the drop box there at the appraisal district. I wouldn't trust online to do it. I'd rather go physically do it. But that's what I would do. Uh, I would ask when you file the notice, your protest, I would put on there that you also, if there's a checkbox there, that you want to appear in person, okay? And what, and that you also want uh, to have an informal hearing, okay, before the protest hearing, okay? Um, you want an informal hearing because this gives you an opportunity to work one-on-one with an employee of the appraisal district who's supposed to be an appraiser, and sit down with him and you can let him know what your concerns are and why you disagree with the value and all that. And that's the time when maybe you can come to the meeting of the mind and negotiate the valuation. You might say, uh, they went up because I've seen some people go up 800% on the valuations, and I've seen some that come far less. Of course, I've saved a lot people a lot of money. I've seen people go for 58,000, and they went over $1 million on some land, and I got it back down to 58,000, stuff like that. But anyway, um, you sit down informally with a appraisal district appraiser there, and if they assess you 200,000, you say no, it's only worth 125 because of this. It takes a picture. Take pictures and submit them timely. Also, read the instructions there, and I'll tell you. Take pictures. That's called your evidence. Okay. And once you sit down with him, you tell him, look, my house has got termites, or my house hasn't been updated since the 60s. And they may be assessing you, if you look at their comps with houses that are similar in age as yours, but they've all been rehabbed. And, so there's a big difference there. It would be very costly for you to put it in the same condition as the other one, but yet they're using that one, even though it's the same age, to assess you at a higher value. So be sure to request the evidence they have and submit yours. I think that the time limit is 3 days before your hearing. Okay. Uh, Ask them also to send you a text message to remind you of the hearing. It's called an ARP hearing, but try to get the informal first out of the way. And before, if you disagree with the informal, that you can't come to the meeting of the minds, then tell the person you're talking to there, the appraiser, no, I disagree. I'm going to go to the ARB. Then you will go to the board, who will listen to you, and they will also listen to the appraisal district appraisers as to how they assess your value and why they're assessing it the way they are. And they're the arbitrators. They will listen to both sides, then they'll render a decision. Now, if you still do not disagree and you feel very strongly about it, your next option is to go to district court. And I've seen and I've been part of where we win in district court. Uh, For instance, my daughter's house, her house was assessed very high based on the basement she had. Well, based on federal guidelines and Fannie Mae and stuff like that, basements are not classified as living area. And when I went to the protest, I got a board. Man, were they stupid? I'm talking stupid. Okay, and some they know what they're doing. Some don't know. They get appointed to these boards, and they some shouldn't be on those boards. One of the ladies there, she was from Harlingen. While we were duking it out there as to why it was too high or why the assessment is valid, and I pointed out that my daughter's house had a basement, and basements are not considered as living area. Well, one of the board members told me, "I know that house. That's not a basement." And by all definitions, that was a basement. So I lost at the ARB hearing. We went to district court and we won because it was very obvious, based on federal guidelines, three sides were below grade, you know. But this lady thought she knew more than an expert like me, who's an appraiser. I've been doing it for 30 years. Uh, she tried to tell me that that did not qualify based on the definition, and I even provided a definition in writing to this what a basement was. But you get stupid people on boards, not only on those boards, but everywhere, everywhere. And if they don't do their research, and if they're not competent, they're going to make bad decisions and they're going to hurt you because you didn't push back. But you got to push back and don't be shy about it. If you're right, you're right. If not, you get educated and you'll find out you were wrong, so you'll know better for next time. Okay, so also you fill out the form. If you have somebody that will help you, be sure to appoint them as your agent. Okay, that way they can go speak for you and represent you at the ARB hearing. If you fail at the informal hearing in the protest, uh, if anybody has any questions, you call me at 956-572-8172 during this podcast, and I will try to answer you. Um, if everything else fails, like I tell you, you can seek some professional help by hiring an appraiser. Uh, if you think it's worth for you to hire an appraiser, an appraiser will charge you to do what is market value of your property, and you can take that to the appraisal district before your hearing, and you'll stand a better chance. Because most people that walk into those hearings, it's all based on emotion, and that's not going to help you. You need to go based on facts, and that's why I tell you take pictures, make sure you list everything why the comps, their evidence does not conform to what you have as a property, and it's wrongfully assessed too high. So based on that, this Naked City podcast, uh, it's gonna be hopefully weekly, maybe more often, and I'm gonna try to adjust, be flexible as to what the time should be. For me, 8 o'clock works good. And if y'all think that's a good time, let me know. If you think it's not a good time, uh, maybe I can change it. Uh, During the day, it's a little more challenging for me because I have so many things going on, and everybody's working and stuff like that. And if you have topics that you would like to discuss here on this podcast, I'd be more glad to consider and put them on the table here. But like I say, I would like to be able to do this podcast, hoping that it'll help us here as a community to learn about what is the best uh, for the common good, and what we can do to, to help each other by exchanging information, educating ourselves. But there's a lot going on. Like I tell you, there's issues like animal abuse. There's issues like administration of the city, wasting the taxpayers' money. projects, that with cost overruns or projects that are not needed or stuff like that. And also you can report stuff that you feel are not right and they should be reported. So based on that, I had no calls, but you can call me anytime. My number is 956-572-8172. And I thank you for joining me if you did on this first podcast that we launched. This has been a test for me uh, on how to do it, and hopefully you can help me spread the word that we're here to at least once a week. I'll post them on Facebook when I'll do the next one. If you think once a week is not enough, maybe we should do more often. And what day, what time, that's up to the air at this time. So again, thank you for joining me. God bless and stay safe and pray for our country, pray for our community, pray for our troops, and pray for guidance in your life, and and also pray that we come together in support of trying to make things better for our children and our grandchildren, and we can't think just about ourselves. What we do does affect a lot of people, and we're here, I think, on this earth to serve in one way or another. Uh, it, the mission can be different. Uh, the mission may be to be a good parent, uh, or to be a good foster parent, or uh, to be a good employee, or to run for office, or to be on a board, or go speak out when you need to speak out when something's wrong, when you see an injustice. Um, we all have our mission every day in our lives. My mission has always been, I feel like, has been to help others, and I try to do that in my life. I'm not perfect. I fail sometimes, but through God's mercy, I hopefully redeem myself and try to be a better person. Sometimes I lose patience and bite my tongue sometimes, but I'm human just like you are, and hopefully you don't judge me too harshly when I fail you. So with that, I will close, and thank you for joining me. Join me and help us spread the word. Thank you. Good night. That's it.